Today we're going to look at the artwork of Edward Hopper. He was a great American artist that painted throughout the 20th century, and a lot of his artworks date from, his most famous artworks date from the 1920s, 1930s. And all the way up through to the 1960s, he was still painting. But his area of greatest influence was the 30s through the 50s. Edward Hopper painted a number of things, but what he's best known for is interior views like this print of a painting I have here, which is called Chop Suey. Chop Suey is the name of the restaurant, which you can just make out on the side here. Otherwise, it'd be very confusing to try to figure out what this painting is about. But you can tell by the teapot and the bowls that they must be in some sort of Chinese restaurant, hence the name Chop Suey. One of the things that's very interesting about his pictures is they usually have very few characters, and they often look alone or in isolation, or they often look like you could make up a story about them. It's like you've looked in and you've captured some sort of scene that was happening. He was also known for painting mansions. That he grew up in New York, but he would vacation in Maine. And you can just make out in the corner somebody peeking out the window. This is a device he uses a lot. He liked to paint sailing ships. He often used lighthouses in his pictures. But the works that he became very, very famous for are this idea that somebody is seated somewhere by themselves. You don't know if they're happy or sad. You could probably make up a story about this. And also it looks like you might be looking through the window, because just barely in the corner here is some sort of reflection. So you get an idea that you might be looking in the window, but it's reflecting from outside. That's the only way you get that kind of reflection in the window. He uses that device over and over again, this idea of looking in a window. You can see here, this is a pharmacy, and again, it's empty, and it's nighttime, so you can look in. You don't see any people in there, so you wonder, is the store closed? Is the store open? Because there's still lights on. So again, he creates a lot of drama and questions for the viewer to ponder when they're looking at his painting. He also liked to do scenes of big cities. This here is a painting in which he lived in New York City, even though he spent a lot of his free time in the summers up in Maine. He liked this device of being in a big office building, but then you can look in the window and you can see somebody inside. You don't know them, you don't know what's going on, but he liked this device of looking inside the window and for you to be able to speculate that there might be some scene. Here's another one. This is, again, just as if you were randomly looking in a big high-rise office building and seeing people, the filing cabinet or at work, and trying to wonder, well, you know, what's their conversation, what's going on. You have to remember, at the time Hopper was painting these artworks, the current art scene was all abstract. Jackson Pollock was a top artist who would just be putting paint on canvas without any realistic structure. So Hopper, as an American realist painter, would be exactly the opposite. You can see everything in the painting, figures, coat up on the hook, people, you know, talking, table images, lamp, everything very detailed, very realistic, which would have been extremely opposite. Some people at the time dismissed Hopper and didn't think he was relevant or had talent, which is completely untrue. It's just the art at the times was more abstract and unrealistic. This, again, is his most famous painting here. It is called Nighthawks, and it shows a diner. The view that you have as the viewer is you're out on the street and you're looking through this large plate glass window of a diner with a few residents in it, not crowded, very few people. And it's late at night, hence Nighthawks. They're up late, the streets are empty. It has a very eerie but interesting feeling for now with our time of social distancing. You could relate very much to the fact that the sidewalks are empty. It looks like other people are shuttered inside. Maybe they're asleep, and so it gives you a feeling of isolationism. And yet, it's not really a sad picture. You don't get the feeling that they're sad. You just get a feeling like, they're isolated, that there's no one around. We're going to use this idea of looking through a window for our inspiration of our drawing project today. So we're going to do that part right now. There is a painting called The Room that we're going to use for our inspiration for today's artwork. This is a copy I have up on my iPad here. And what's interesting about this painting, The Room, is the fact that he uses the framing of an outdoor window and a pillar as if it's a large window in an apartment building. And you see inside two figures. The woman looks like she's just playing notes on the piano, and the man is reading the newspaper. Now she's in some sort of, fancy dress as if they might be going out, and he has his suit jacket off and reading the paper, and he's more casual. The fact that they're sort of turned away from each other might suggest that they're not talking to each other, or they're not sure what they're going to do, or you don't know if they're waiting for somebody to turn up before they go out, or if they made plans and then they canceled it, or if they're not talking to each other, or they were talking to each other. You just don't have any idea. But that's what makes a Hopper painting great. You can create all kinds of scenarios in your head on what actually might be going on in the painting. So we're going to use that device for our artwork today. We're going to be doing an outline of showing a window, and then you can create your own scene inside. So we'll be doing that with a piece of white computer paper here. And just what I want to do, so if you look up the painting, The Room in New York, 1932, this is what I'm going to use my inspiration. I just have a piece of regular white paper here, and I'm just going to use my ruler, and I'm going to sketch out a window. And I would suggest using a ruler because, windows would be very straight. So unless you can sketch it freehand really straight, it's just much cleaner with a ruler. It'd be nice and straight. Okay. And on the painting, the top is open. You don't see the top of the window frame. You see the side, but you see the scene inside here. And then if you look carefully, the frame of the window is here. Window ledge. Now I should have taken that over to the side. Okay, I'll just fix that a little bit. Then there's a column. I made a slight mistake here, but I think I'll just color over that so that you won't see it when I'm done. Okay, so basically what you've done is you have outlined the window as it is in the painting in The Room in New York, 1932. And then this is where the scene takes place. You have the woman at the piano and the man reading the paper. In this window part here, I want you to draw whatever you might see inside the window. So I'm going to leave it up to you. You can sketch what Hopper sketched. You can think of some scene inside your house. You could make it serious. You could make it funny. But I want you to use this window device to be able to draw this And then I want you to also take your crayons and I want you to color around the frame of the window as well. And usually in his painting here, this is pretty much just a question of lights and darks, and you've got black and maybe a little gray and white over here. To be able to do that. And so you can see when I color this, I can just cover up my mistake here when I do it with my black marker. Make sure that you get rid of all pencil lines here and then put your picture in the middle. You can do this in crayon, you can do this in marker, you can do this in color pencil. So I want you to have experienced the idea of doing a picture Edward Hopper style, and really you should be able to have a picture where somebody might want to tell a story about the characters inside. So okay, enjoy your Edward Hopper assignment and have fun. Bye.